Hi everyone, and welcome to the August 2022 Illumination reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own personal spiritual importance. And what does that mean? That means that in today's reading, we're going to be taking a look at a challenge that Spirit is asking you to face and overcome so that you can better engage with your unique spirit, that part of ourselves that rises up to meet the challenge. And that's when we get a chance to really unlock our own heroic capabilities, which allow us to better see our path, connect to our purpose, and get closer to those feelings of emotional fulfillment that come when we see where we fit in the greater collective experience and where we can truly be of service with that uniqueness. All right, so I'm going to jump right in here, Gemini. I'm going to go ahead and pull some cards for the initial spread. We're going to be taking a look first at the energy that you're bringing into the month of August. And we're going to be taking a look at what's going on around you in your external environment. And then we're going to dive into the challenge and any blocks that are coming up around you facing that challenge successfully. Okay, so far we have the Three of Swords and the High Priestess for your internal energy. This is an interesting combination because the Three of Swords, that's really I always like to say it's the ghosts of past trauma that haunt us in a mental space. And it's those thoughts that kind of creep up into our mind continually that tell us we're not good enough, we can't do that, we're not lovable enough. And those are all based from things that other people have told us or things that we have learned from our experiences, that we fail when we try to do this, or we are not good in relationships because we've never had one that's been successful. And what can happen is that those thoughts can actually then come down, kind of like this image indicates, and pierce us in our emotional core. Sometimes we don't realize how much our emotions and our thoughts are intrinsically linked. And that can be kind of a dangerous thing because then we're kind of sitting in this constant place of emotional wounding based solely on thoughts that we can change the perspective of how we see them. We can look at a past relationship where someone told us we weren't lovable and instead turn that around into a lesson learned, and perhaps maybe you weren't showing your authentic self, or maybe you were in a codependent relationship, or maybe you were with an individual who wasn't right for you, who didn't honor your own uniqueness. And we can look at that from a different perspective. Instead of saying, I'm not lovable, you can say, I can see how in my next relationship, I'll find somebody who compliments me better in this area, or someone who supports me when I say that I like to do X, Y, and Z. And the High Priestess really kind of speaks to that for you guys. The High Priestess speaks to somehow what is haunting you, and that there's a decision to make right now to really walk away from this kind of mindset. All right, let's see. Cards are really not wanting to come out here, Gemini. Let me see if I can. What does Gemini need to know about what's going on around them this month? It's interesting. As I was stepping into your energy, I don't always get visions, or I am clairaudience, so sometimes I'll hear things. I did get an image of a bunch of grapes, and I heard grapes of wrath. So I'm not sure if some of you are kind of maybe going a little bit through what I would call, the grieving or the trauma process, where you're kind of in the process of releasing an old wound, but also kind of coming up into that place where we can get angry. We can get angry at ourselves. We can get angry at other people. And there's this element of, when we go through the grief or the trauma process, in order for us to release, we kind of have to embrace those. We have to embrace both. Embrace the sadness, embrace the anger, and then embrace the acceptance of the whole situation. And I do feel with the High Priestess, there's a level of acceptance of what's happened, a level of acceptance of kind of this internal knowing that now is the time to move on from this. Because in your external environment, we have the Ten of Swords. And the Ten of Swords, that's a kind of heavy-hitting card. That's a card where we really find ourselves at our lowest point. Now, it doesn't mean that all of you are going to be in this energy this month. It means that you guys are facing this within yourself. And possibly you're facing where in the past you had felt that you had been at your lowest point, and something in your current environment that maybe has changed is kind of bringing this up to the surface, causing you to revisit something in your experience that now, with the beauty of the Ten of Swords, is that it's the closing of a cycle. It's the ending where you then get to stand up, shake off those 10 swords, and walk away with just one. Your new sword of truth, clarity, and the realization of why you went through that whole cycle. And so for a lot of you this month, there is this kind of, I get this kind of cleansing coming through. And it's interesting because what you're learning about yourself is we have swords here, which are thoughts, those piercing kind of wounding thoughts that come through. And then you have nothing but cups, which are all emotions. So you're being asked to really embrace your emotional state this month, which can be hard because Gemini, you're an air sign. And you're used to really utilizing your mind to not only analyze, but also you live a lot in your mind. That's where a lot of your own unique abilities come from. But this is saying it's time now to get into your emotions. It's time to come out of that headspace and come down into how are you feeling and how can you share that with others? Because we have the Seven of Cups. Well, technically we actually have the Four of Cups underlaid by the Three of Cups and the Seven of Cups. So there's an element here of kind of facing the truth that at some point we're all going to face, where we look at our current situation and we are looking from an emotional perspective of we're looking at our job and we're looking at our home and we're looking at maybe our love life or some other aspect of our experience, and we're like, it's just not fulfilling. I'm kind of bored or I'm a little disappointed. And in reality, what we're missing is the connection to our cup. And you can see here, I always like to bring in the Monty Python element because I love Monty Python, but I do feel like there's like this kind of magic hand Monty Python quality where it's like, puff, there's your cup. There's this individual looking at all the things external to himself and saying, why aren't I emotionally fulfilled by these? And Spirit, God, the universe is saying, no, remember, you got to get back in touch with you, with what you need, with what you bring to the situation, not with waiting for those things external to all of a sudden make you feel good. It's about realizing I have to look within my own cup at the needs I need to have met by the things external to myself. So what is it about my current job? If I'm not happy with it, what is it that is uniquely not what need of mine in my own cup on an emotional level am I not meeting? Or the other side of things, it's not even just needs, it's also the dreams and hopes we have for ourselves. So how is my current job and how I'm feeling in it? How is it not helping me feel like I'm getting towards an internal dream that I would like to have realized for myself? Same thing with a home environment, same thing with a relationship. So there's something here about getting back in touch with yourself. And with the Seven of Cups coming in underneath this, the Seven of Cups is one where we are really outside of ourselves, kind of almost being haunted or tortured by all of what we feel are these emotional possibilities for fulfillment outside of ourselves. This is where we're looking for anything to make us feel good about ourselves or to give us an indication as to what we would want to do. So, we can look and say, well, if I'm not happy in my job, well, then there's a whole world of career paths out there. How do I know? It's almost like getting stuck in that place of, because there's so many options, you can't choose one. So you're just kind of stuck. And with the Three of Cups coming in, this is saying it's time to celebrate. It's time to get back in with those who want to share their cup with you and you to share yours with them. There's an element of celebration. Sometimes I can even see an element of vulnerability there, where you have to come with your cup openly and allow your needs and your dreams and those to be expressed, and for you to equally be open to hearing those of others. And there's this element here, I think, for some of you, that in trying to connect with others, with the Three of Cups kind of being mirrored here, it's almost like you haven't been able to find that community. You haven't been able to find those people that you feel you can authentically connect with. But it's also because you're not authentically connecting with yourself. And I don't mean that you don't know who you are or that you've been pushing yourself aside. I mean that I think there's this level of wanting so badly to find that camaraderie outside of yourself that you've lost that camaraderie you have with yourself first, of that element of understanding, this is who I am, this is what I need, these are my hopes and dreams, and now I'm going to willingly go out there, and I'm not going to be kind of stuck in this, well, what if this is better than that option, or this person is better than that person, or this location is better than this location. I'm just going to go out there and say, these are the needs and the dreams I need to have met. So for instance, you can say, a need of mine is to have close companionship, someone who supports me. So I'm going to just start going out there with that mindset of that's a need I need to have filled. And I'm not going to worry about what if I date this person and I miss the love of my life over here. I'm just going to pick an option. Or what if I'm not going to sit here and deliberate for too long over, should I choose this dating app versus this dating app? Or should I choose a dating app over going out and just meeting people in person? Or should I, and you can see how sometimes like when we get into that mental space, we can kind of go down that rabbit hole of then where we lose tie with the initial emotional connection of, I want to feel great with a partner in my life. Or the need is, I need to have more space. I need to live in a home environment that now suits who I am in this moment. And instead of saying, well, maybe I could move to a different city, or I could buy a home, or I could continue to rent, and you go down all these options, it's saying, it's time to just, again, admit to yourself, I need more space. I need this out of X, Y, and Z, out of the new space that I have. And I'm going to just start taking one step at a time to make that happen. So I really do feel, but there's a tie around getting back to the emotional component of this. What is the emotional tie to what you need? What is the emotional, who is you? Who are you that you want to celebrate with others? And that's going to allow you to finally close out this kind of negative thought cycle where perhaps you've even been hiding yourself, or you haven't been able to see the right option for you because of these wounds. Because you're like, well, if I go for that, someone at one point in my life told me that was a silly thing to go after and I would never make any money doing that. Or somebody told me at one point, even though now I want to be a public speaker, somebody early on in my life told me that I needed more practice and I probably would never be a public speaker. It's one of those things where you're finally realizing what has been haunting you, wounding you, and then it's time to release that. But in order to do that, you're going to have to see where you're currently dissatisfied and go back to yourself. Not ask that your external environment change for you, but that you change how you interact with your external environment. So if your workplace is not fulfilling you, well, then what do you need to change about that to make it more fulfilling? Do you need to change the workplace itself? Do you need to bring a different part of yourself into that experience? Do you need to reconnect with why you initially started working there to begin with? Or is it something where you just realize, I haven't had a level of, I need recognition. And is it time now to go to your superior and ask for that and to state your needs, make them known? Again, bringing it back to the emotional quotient. What do you need to feel emotionally fulfilled with your experience? Okay. And I feel, Gemini, like this might have come up last month as well. So there's just really this big emphasis on kind of getting out of your head into your emotions, learning about the beauty that emotions really bring to our experience. And they help quiet that overthinking component, overly analytical, the kind of what if, the rabbit holes, the last time when this happened, that kind of thing. Because the emotions kind of say, well, no, regardless of what's happened in the past, I still feel that I need this to feel happy, to feel fulfilled. Or I need this dream of mine to be met in a specific way because that's uniquely who I am. That's part of my emotional makeup. And I need people to support me in that. Whoa, this is a few too many cards. I'm going to pull this one, though. 5 of Swords. Okay. Yeah, again, a lot of in the mental space. So that's your main initial challenge. And the 5 of Swords is one where we're kind of, it's a card of winning at all costs. It's a card where we're sitting there in a mental space just saying, no, no. It's when somebody would come and show you an alternative way and you're like, nope, can't do it that way. Nope, already thought it through. Nope. And what that can do is it can actually block you from moving into, so this is the Prince of Swords, but technically in the original tarot, this would be the Knight of Swords. And it can stop you from really being able to express your truth, to communicate in a way that's clear and in that this is what I need, this is who I am. And instead, you're stuck in this place of almost trying to, almost like fight yourself and fight others. And I knew the Nine of Swords is going to come up here. This is the card of overthinking, and the card of worry. So there's a lot going on in your mental space right now, Gemini. A lot of worry. I have strong Gemini placements in my chart. I have my Mercury in Gemini, and I also have my Venus in Gemini. So I really do understand, especially with my Mercury in Gemini, the overthinking, the overanalyzing, the getting stuck in that mental space, and the also getting to that place where we're like, no, we've thought through all the answers. No, I can't share that part of myself in that way. No. Yeah. And what I've had to learn is that sometimes it's best to just be very straightforward in our communications, not only with others, but also with ourselves, to say, you know what, sometimes you have to be a little blunt. We have to give ourselves that internal pep talk of like, you know what, no, I do want to be a public speaker. And, at one point in my life, yeah, it sucked. Somebody told me I wasn't great at public speaking, or I tried to get up and give a speech and I stumbled over the words and I didn't quite get the reaction I wanted. But you know what? I'm a different person now. I know who I am. That's where the High Priestess comes in. I know the decision ultimately I want to go towards, but hidden underneath, what's preventing me from doing that is the Three of Swords, are those wounds from the past. And there's this feeling, if you can get past. So the Nine of Swords is coming up at the heart of your reading. This is actually the energy that Spirit's asking you to embrace to overcome this challenge, which is an interesting one because you think, well, why does Spirit want me to embrace the energy of overthinking or the worry, the thoughts that keep us up at night? And it's not that Spirit wants you to sit there and be up all night worrying about things. It's that Spirit wants you to realize where these thoughts are literally just that, thoughts in your mental space. Where can you see how you've already survived? You've already gone through a cycle and it's closed out. You've already walked away from a point in your life where you felt like you were at your lowest point, and you stood up and you held your sword of clarity and your personal truth from what you learned from how far you've come since then. And it's time to realize that that sword is the only sword. That truth is the only truth you need to move forward with the Knight of Swords here. You don't need to carry with you all of those other wounds. It's the realization of, what did I learn about myself in that cycle? What did I learn that I was capable of handling? What did I learn that I really want for myself? What did I learn about how to communicate from that place as well? And so Spirit's really asking you to sit this month and take a look at all the worries that come up when you think about moving towards the new, changing up what hasn't worked for you at this point. Really also looking at the community that you want to be a part of as well, the people you want to be surrounded with, the feelings you want to have in your life when you look at all areas of it, and to realize where there's just a lot of noise, of mental noise coming in that's not allowing you to really connect with what you want on an emotional level, and to kind of help shut that down, to realize there's only one sort of truth in there. That's your truth. And it's the truth of what you're capable of. It's the truth that, yeah, what if, but ultimately, you know that if you do come up against an obstacle, you are capable of overcoming it in whatever way you did previously. And then on the other side of that, we have the sun. Beautiful energy. Sun is one of illumination. It also really harnesses the energy of Leo, which we're in Leo season right now, which is all about being seen for who you are, seen for your uniqueness and not being afraid to show it. But it's one of also connecting to the truest. There's usually a child shown in the sun card because it shows us re-illuminating for ourselves that innocent, unique person that lies within us, that part of ourselves that often we lose in childhood as we leave childhood and kind of enter the real world. And we get hurt. That part of ourselves we tend to mask and hide, and part of ourselves that we keep very small and push down. And this is reminding yourself that that person, that child within you, is a very important part of who you are. That person within you, that child within you, is directly linked to the cup that's waiting for you over here. But you just have to reconnect with that person. And therein lies the inspiration, the Ace of Wands. This is a beautiful card to come up at the very end, but it's also your final challenge card. I do feel that for some of you, in quieting the mind and getting back to really what you need and why you've been kind of disappointed, I think, in the community aspect or the group of people you've had around you, and why you don't feel fulfilled, is because you haven't been allowed to bring this innocent part of yourself into the equation, this part of yourself that perhaps you've forgotten about, the part of yourself that is truly the wounded child within you. And therein lies the inspiration. When you connect to that, you realize, oh my gosh, that's a need or a dream of mine I have long stifled because of the traumas I've gone through. That's what I want to connect to again, that love of life that comes from X, Y, and Z, the love of life that comes from me going out and traveling all over the world, or the love of life that comes from me writing or reading my favorite books, that love of life that comes when I connect to speaking on topics I'm passionate about. Whatever it comes back to for you, there's a reconnection to that internal spark within yourself. But I think for some of you, you're afraid to follow it because of what has happened in the past. And this is saying the past is in the past. And you, on some intuitive level, understand that. But you're battling intuitively those ghosts of the past. This can be an incredibly cleansing month for you, Gemini, and where you just finally kind of put the past to rest and you move into allowing this carefree, beautiful inner child to come out, and you start to see where that's going to take you. Okay, so I'm going to pull some clarifier cards here. We're going to see what is the Five of Swords here. What are you trying not to see? What are you trying to kind of argue with yourself about? Eight of Coins. Yeah, what you're working towards. I think for some of you, there's this element of, let's see, and the Three of Wands. Interesting. Okay, so there's kind of a push-pull between the Eight of Coins and the Three of Wands. Two very different energies. Three of Wands is where we're waiting for our ships to come in. We're waiting for something that we've kind of, maybe been passionate about, we've put a little effort towards. We're waiting for something to come in. The Eight of Coins is building. That's just putting your head down and in the physical, just step by step, making it happen. And I think for some of you, there's this element of not wanting to see where you've been maybe waiting for too long, and where now it's time. It's almost like you've been working on something for a while, but you've also been waiting for something to come in or come back. And it's time to realize you might just have to push through. that something might not be coming in for you, that it's time for you to build what you want. I'm getting a strong intuitive feeling of, I think for some of you, you've been waiting for too long. And with the Prince of Swords, which is actually the Knight of Swords, I like that the Two of Wands is coming up. This is communicating the way forward. This is a choice. Where do I go from here? And this is communicating that. Knight of Swords, again, double confirmation for the same card. So yes, communicating in a very clear way from a place of personal truth where you want to go from here. It's no longer about waiting. It's about what you want to build. And so when we realize what we want to build, and if we take off the kind of waiting for something to come in to us, this is where we make the choice to go out to it. That we are going to go back to become that public speaker. We are going to leave a career path that no longer fulfills us in pursuit of something that does. And then for the Nine of Swords, we have, the Ace of Coins, I love it, and the Four of Wands. Okay, that's really interesting. So there's something here around a new opportunity that's coming in to build a beautiful foundation. So for some of you, this actually could be an opportunity in possibly leveling up in a relationship. Often the Four of Wands can mean a marriage. It denotes a celebration. And I think for some of you, there's a worry around that, a worry around possibly a new relationship and building on a foundation for that. But if it's not specifically pertaining to a relationship, this could also pertain to the building of a business, to the building of a foundation for something that you are making the choice to build on. There's something around communicating. I think this month, this is going to be that moment. Do you commit to the partnership fully? Meaning, do you say, let's get married and build the house and build the life together? Or do you commit to changing career paths and it's time to go back to school and you're building a new foundation around this opportunity? Maybe you have a little bit of money saved and you say, now is the time to do this. There's something around that's where the worry is coming from, because you have an opportunity. There is a seed here of opportunity to build this new foundation based off of the communication of where you want to go from this point forward. And I think I can understand the worry. I mean, yeah, it can be worrying when we sit here and when we know we have to make that choice, when we no longer can sit and be like, well, let's just see what happens in the next 6 months. Let's just see what happens in a year. It's like, nope, the time is now, and you know it. You know it within your bones. That is the High Priestess. You know that there's no more waiting. It's time to build. And that's why this Knight of Swords is coming through so significantly, because it's time to speak that truth. It's time to make that decision, and it's time to go out there and do it. Okay, let's take a look at the Sun. And I think for some of you, if this is around a relationship, this could be based, in fears of the past, in a relationship that didn't quite work out the way that you had wanted. And now you're worried about building this new foundation with someone else because, it could happen again. But you know what? You're a different person now, and you're making the decision. You're in the driver's seat. So you get to make of this opportunity what you will. Okay, so for the Sun, we have Justice. Ooh, I like that. Showing where there needs to be balance, illuminating something that maybe something that needed to come into balance. It can also be the illumination of a contract. So for some of you, this could be, making that decision to buy that house together, making that decision to get married, making that decision to sign a contract for a new place of work. That there is something here around the illumination of, and here's, the Four of Swords. Yeah, so you're in a point of deliberation around this. The Four of Swords is a great energy to come up with the Three of Swords, because it shows that you're going from the Three of Swords, which is just kind of sitting with that mental wounding, and you're taking it up a notch to where now you're fully reflecting on it. You're reflecting to the point where you're looking at those three swords, and then you're realizing that as you're reflecting on them, you realize the one sword that truly is yours. You get to leave the three swords up on the wall and you get to walk away with your one sort of truth. And this is where you discover how much your own truth has been kind of hidden behind these thoughts. It really speaks to a period of reflection and rest, which I think is perfect with the illumination, because something within yourself has been illuminated. A truth within yourself has been illuminated. And this is allowing you to see where these negative thoughts have kind of been hindering you, kind of not allowing you to see yourself clearly. And that's what's going to allow you to really understand, I think, where there's been an imbalance, a part of yourself that you haven't been working with for quite some time, but also possibly where there's a contract that you need to commit to. And that's why you're kind of being forced to stop and take a look at yourself, where you're sitting there saying, okay, if I'm going to commit to this, I really need to see the truth and the clarity of this and how it works for me. Okay, so now let's take a look at the Ace of Wands as your final card here. Okay, Two of Coins. Yeah, I think for some of you, there's a little bit of this feeling of juggling with this new inspiration coming in. You're realizing, shoot, I've got to figure out how to prioritize this in my day-to-day experience. And that can be hard when we freshly connect to something that lies within us. Oh, I love this, the Fool and the Ace of Cups. This is taking a chance in love. Going towards what you love. There is that leap with your cup. It's rediscovering what's in your cup, rediscovering that love for yourself, honoring that, and with the Fool, getting ready to go out there and take the plunge. But you're going to have to get past the Two of Coins, which is that juggling. It's the realization that it's time to prioritize this new inspiration for yourself. Whether it is prioritizing a relationship, whether it is prioritizing buying a home together and now putting resources towards that instead of towards something else, or prioritizing going back to school instead of prioritizing another thing in your life. There's an element here of prioritization with the Two of Wands coming in, but taking the leap in love towards what you love, towards what you know is in your cup. That's what's going to get you out of this kind of malaise of nothing is fulfilling to me, nothing is what I want. It's because it's time to reconnect to what you want, not to what you're trying to make your external environment provide to you, but what you actually want to go after to fulfill your own needs. I love this. This is, for those of you who are in a relationship, this is a great indication of go for it. It's really gonna spark, I think, that passion within you. It's also for those of you looking to get into anything new. This is a really kind of go for it. Go for this new love. Go for this reconnection to yourself. And yeah, the final challenge might be one where you do have to figure out how to reprioritize. We can't do it all. And when we feel like we have to juggle everything, then that's when something gets dropped. But you have, this denotes a choice. This denotes that the High Priestess denotes you already know the choice. And the Two of Wands denotes a choice as well. Where to take action from here, what way to go. And this is saying, okay, if I know the way that I want to go, well, then how do I prioritize that specifically in the physical? By where do I put my time, my energy, my resources? And how can I put that towards making this leap? Love this for you guys. Okay. So now let's go ahead. I'm going to pull 3 additional cards here for the concept of curiosity, courage, and contemplation. So this first card here is where Spirit would like you to stay open and curious throughout the month of August to really allow Spirit to kind of have that channel, that open door to come in and show you something about this experience that you're going through this month that you might not have otherwise seen. Curiosity is such a powerful principle. It's one that allows us to stay engaged in the moment because we're constantly looking at our environment with fresh eyes, with what do we not know? What are we going to learn new today? Who are we going to meet? And it keeps us forward focused. It's where we are looking down the path as to getting excited about what's to come in. Oh, I love this. It says woman holding a heart. number 44, which is an angelic number. It's also the number of double building of firm foundations. I like that it also brings in this kind of principle of love. And then it further breaks down to the number 8, which is the number of personal empowerment, the number of physical abundance, the number of empowered leadership as well. But there is something here, regardless of whether you identify as male or female, there's just this beautiful feminine energy around holding space for love and allowing your next step to really be focused on the building of foundations from what you love. That's the Ace of Cups. This is the whole lesson, the challenge that you're learning this month is reconnecting to unconditional love for yourself, the respect that you have for what's in your cup, and the realization of how you need to bring that forward. And that's going to bring the community, I think, as well, that you've been looking for, that support. So to be curious as to where you can just hold space for love in your life, and how is Spirit going to utilize that space to bring in the opportunities and the people needed to help this new transition, this leap you want to take, this new opportunity. How is Spirit going to illuminate something for you to allow this to happen effortlessly for yourself, or to really allow you to see where this is in your life? Where is a part of yourself you have been kind of letting go, not honoring through love, and not really being in that place of personal empowerment? All right, now I'm going to pull a second to final card here. We're going to pull a card for the concept of courage. And this is where Spirit would like you to stay open and courageous to in taking action. So this is the courage to take action. What does Spirit want you to know about having the courage to take action this month? Surrender to trust. Interesting, because I feel like Libra got that as well in theirs. So we have trust yourself and your decisions. Don't be swayed by other people's strong opinions about what to do. Take action and be confident that you've chosen the right path. And that's really what the Two of Wands here speaks to. And with the High Priestess. The High Priestess speaks to that deep internal knowing. It's just when you wake up one day and you're like, I know this is the way I have to go. And the Two of Wands speaks to that as well. But with the Knight of Swords, that's expressing that. That's going out there and communicating from that place. I've made the decision to do this, to go in this path, in this direction, because it connects me to myself. And yes, I'm willing to be the fool and kind of jump off the cliff into this new cycle, but I am surrendering to the trust and the faith that I have within myself, knowing that this is what is connecting me to that feeling of being emotionally connected to life again. I love that. Okay, so now let's go and pull a final advice card here for the concept of contemplation. This is where Spirit would like you to stay reflective to this energy that comes up in this card throughout the month to really help ground this reading, so that as you're moving through the month, it's not just that you watch this reading and you forget about the message or think about it one time. It's that there's this point of reflection that every day you can stop and you can think about and hold up all of the results and the consequences of your actions. You can hold them accountable to this point of reflection, this point of contemplation, and to see where you're kind of where you are within this challenge. Are you moving forward? Are you making that decision? Are you fearlessly communicating it? Are you taking that leap and reconnecting to an innocent part of yourself that you know needs to be brought out and expressed? And are you closing a chapter on finally where you felt like you were at your lowest point? Ooh, interesting. So we have no. It says wait, postpone, pause, say no. Okay, well, I'm going to pull a couple clarifiers for that, because that's an interesting card to come out here. So we're thinking about contemplation. I always like to say that, again, a well-placed no is actually a yes. So for some of you, there is something here about reflecting on before you say yes to something, to really stop, when we think about, with the Four of Swords coming in and Justice. There's something here about possibly being presented with an opportunity. And it's about stopping and really getting clear on your truth first. That's a lot of cards. Let's see if we can get just one or two instead. What does Gemini need to know about? No, wait, postpone, pause, say no. So this might mean that maybe there's already something in the works for you. I mean, and that could also be, what's coming in here, that maybe you have been waiting for something to come in and something has come in, but you've also been working on something else for yourself. And maybe you've been working on something, or now you just feel there's something new that needs to be expressed. And even though you've been working towards something and now finally an opportunity is coming in based around what you've been working on, it might not be the right fit for you anymore. That might have been something that you had put in motion a couple years ago, 5 years ago, even 10 years ago, maybe even just a month ago. And now suddenly the opportunity presents itself and you're like, wait a second, that's now that I've had this point of illumination, that's actually not the foundation I want to build. That's not what I want to work towards anymore. That doesn't allow me, that was part of the 3 cups out here. It's not part of my cup. But let's see, I'm going to pull, let's see. Be loyal to what you love. Number 19, breaking down to a 10, further breaking down to a 1, the energy of a start of a new cycle. I like that because that really shows be loyal to what you love. If you suddenly remember that you love working with children, and that was a passion that you long put aside to join the corporate world, and suddenly you get that, level up, maybe the promotion you've been waiting for, but you've reconnected suddenly to this new vision for yourself, this vision where you get to go back to school to learn how to work with children in some capacity. And you were getting really excited about that. And then suddenly this opportunity comes in to level up in your workplace. And you know that it's not going to allow you to take the class that you wanted or to go towards expressing your need to work with children. This is where you might have to stop and really reflect and say, one on paper may seem better. One may seem like, okay, I've worked so hard to get to this point and, it's going to give me the more money and it's going to be great. But am I still going to be dissatisfied with my life? Am I giving up on being loyal to myself? That's a really, kind of important question to keep in mind as we think about, bringing ourselves into the equation, bringing our emotional fulfillment. So who are you loyal to? Are you loyal to loving yourself? That's going to help you answer where you might need to say no for a moment. And it might just be to pause and then realize, actually, no, this is the right way forward. And I am going to make this decision. And that could be what you're communicating here is that, you know what, I thought about it. And actually, maybe a year ago, you might have been afraid to say yes because it would have been scary. Maybe you had an element of almost, that feeling of, this position is going to force me to get into an upper corporate level job, an upper level corporate position where I'm going to have to be speaking more in front of people. I'm going to have to be changing how I work. And I'm afraid of that because in the past, it's almost like that imposter syndrome of like, I don't feel like I'm good enough, that I actually deserve that. But after some time of realizing how far you've come, how much you've learned about yourself and how much you've grown, you might actually stop and say, actually, a year ago I would have said no, but yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to make this leap. I'm ready to take that promotion. So there's something here around just having that moment to deliberate around some type of contractual something, an opportunity that's coming in, whether it's saying yes to getting engaged, saying yes to buying a house, saying yes to that promotion or changing a job, and saying, how does that fit with who I am now and the needs I've reconnected with inside myself? The moon. Okay, yeah, that's a lack of clarity. It's really coming down to trust. It's asking, can you walk a path on faith when you can't quite see the way clearly, when there's shadows all around? And it also speaks to having to trust your intuition. So it brings you back to the high priestess over here. of really understanding that you have to trust what you feel. Again, this is about getting into your feelings this month. Unfortunately, Gemini, you can't think your way around this. You have to feel your way through it. This is double confirmation. And you have to surrender to trust. Trust yourself most of all. Okay, so then we have the World and the Ace of Wands again. Yes, the World closing out of a major cycle. This is closing the door on the past, celebrating how far you've come, and letting that new inspiration take the lead. Yeah, love it. Okay. Now I'm going to pull a final card here for the concept of the overarching spiritual lesson that you're learning this month. And I will read the full excerpt from the book that comes with this, just to give you a final message that comes from someone other than myself. Let's see. Oops. What is Gemini learning about themselves this month? What is our main spiritual lesson? Oh, I love it. Okay, so we have Soul Child, number 14. And number 14 to me, this is the number, it breaks down to number 5, which is harnesses the energy of change. But it's also, for me, a card or a number that speaks to freedom through the acceptance of change. And I like that it brings in the soul child component, because I really do feel like many of you are reconnecting to your inner child, that part of yourself that because of wounding you might have pushed away for some time, but now it's kind of rising up and out, and you're honoring that. So it says, rebirth is upon you, beautiful child of the universe. You have prepared for new life, and it is starting right now. The divine moment of rebirth, which occurs after a period of struggle, of intense inner work and physical transformation, has arrived. Enjoy getting to know this new self. It is a new day, a new beginning, a new you. Like an adventurer enjoying the discovery of a brand new world, take your time to explore the increase of your light, power, and love. You have undergone the death of the old order. Nothing is as it was, not will it be so again. You have had to learn detachment, to release and let go over and over again. In so many ways, you have experienced inner death, as you have bravely surrendered that which no longer serves your growth this lifetime, even if you once loved it dearly or couldn't imagine life without it. Deep inside, through that process, your soul has been gathering energy. It has been drawing it away from the old forms of your life and relationships, from your old beliefs about health, finances, work, and from what used to hold meaning for you. It has done so in order to feed the new soul child being carried within your body. This new you is filled with divine light, love, and power. Your inner soul child, this newly integrated self, is preparing for birth now. From that which is no longer something new is now being born. From that which is no longer something new is now being born. You are ready for the next cycle or phase of your life. Even if, like a newborn colt learning to stand steady on shaky legs, you are not sure of your strength, be reassured. The new self you are experiencing will grow strong and powerful soon enough. Let confidence in your new self emerge. Reflect upon how different you are now to a year or even a month ago. Be curious about who you are now. Do not expect the same reactions or experiences you encountered in your past. It is a time of celebration and acknowledgement that a new day, a new you has begun a journey in the physical world. You shall enjoy the divine harvest of all of your growth and effort. This card can also indicate that a child around you, perhaps one about whom you have been thinking deeply, is particularly gifted or spiritually oriented. This child may have an important mission this lifetime and needs your loving support and spiritual encouragement to thrive into the mission according to his or her own divine timing. This card may also be a sign that a new business idea, professional or personal relationship, or lifestyle choice is going to support the growth of your spirit in a positive and encouraging way. If this is the case, that new idea or connection will lead to the birth of creative new programs, ideas, and structures in your life. On the other hand, if something has been flagging in energy or success, but you are not yet inclined to give it up, this oracle comes as confirmation and encouragement. Rebirth is going to happen. Do not give up. Sometimes it is darkest just before the dawn. I love this. Double confirmation there, Gemini, that now is the time to make that decision. Now is the time to go on your gut instinct, to come into the world reborn. That is the Fool and the Ace of Cups. That is the Ace of Wands with that as well. That is that realization of it's a new day. It's time for me to go out there, and it's time to go out there from a place of connecting to love. What do you want to feel you love about your life again? And it's time to lead from that place. All right, Gemini, I hope you all have a wonderful month of August that is full of those beautiful, insightful moments, faith in yourself and in this new journey and phase, and that you don't give up, that you kind of let your emotions take the wheel and you let your mind be at peace. All right. If anyone would like to book a personal reading or just learn more about me and the services I offer, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website. Otherwise, I will see you all here for next month's September Illumination reading. Bye, Gemini.